Hello, welcome to Tomorrow again. Please thumbs up this video, subscribe to this channel if you aren't already subscribed, and that contest to see who will, actually two people will receive a 20-minute reading from me for free. Watch the entire video until the end, and then you will understand what you will need to do to receive a free reading. And the competition is not over. I have not chosen anyone, and I'm really going by the energy behind your questions, the energy behind your pictures, just that whole thing. And I'm gonna pick two people. Not to say that those that have already submitted their information will not win. No, you are not out of the running at all. But just to clarify, the deadline is not until May 5th, 2020. So keep sending in those requests for a free reading, and who knows, you might be the one to actually win. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about survival. You know, in this day and age, in this climate that we live in, people can be very testy, especially when you're in an area that you can't really get away from right away, like at work or at a grocery store or, you know, in a parking lot. Sometimes people can be very, very testy. I wanted to share something with you guys. There's a thing that my grandmother always taught me, and that's strategy. She would teach me ways of getting out of a situation, especially at work, when people can be very testy. They can literally think, for whatever reason, that they are your boss and they can tell you what to do and expect you to do it. Now, I don't have to I don't have to deal with that anymore because I am retired from working for someone else. I work for myself now, but I've done my time, and I know coworkers can be boogery. So, in order to get through the day at a job, sometimes you have to think ahead before you even get to work. Kind of expect certain things and figure out a way to diffuse the situation, figure out a way to get through the day. And then the next day, and then the next day, because you need your job. And as I mentioned, people will be very testy. They will test you, and they may be in a bad mood. It may be your boss, your manager, your supervisor may be in a bad mood, or they may just not like you for whatever reason. But you've got to find a coping mechanism, your own way of coping with the situation. And what won't work, I'll give you a hint, is to be confrontational. Sometimes you have to put on a smile just to get through. Not giggling and you know, kissing up and brown nosing. That's never going to work. Just, I would advise to stay in your personality element in finding that solution. But you must really come up with it on your own, and not necessarily to be told step by step how to handle a situation, but try to diffuse it your own way without being confrontational, without, you know, being a brown noser, because that in the end doesn't work. It makes it more difficult. Whatever the situation may be. If some of you guys are having difficulty on the job with a supervisor or a boss, whatever their title might be, leave me a comment in the comment section how you cope on a job where people can be very testy, whether it's their tone or whether they're singling you out for whatever reason. For example, you could be at work, say you work at a grocery store, and you have different elements to your job. And say your title is, I don't know, cashier, not necessarily cashier, but say you, I've never worked in a grocery store, so I don't really know the titles, but say primarily your job is to run a cash register. You're a cashier. But this particular day, they don't need you as a cashier. They need you to help out in different departments. And you understand that this is part of your job, but there's a tornado warning outside. It's storming outside, and your supervisor asks you to go out and get the carts and bring them in. And it's not just a regular storm, there's actually tornado warning, meaning there's been a tornado spotted, and your supervisor expects you to go outside and do some work. Now, you could either say to your supervisor, no, because look at the weather, no. Or you could use strategy. Find a way to get through that 8-hour shift without going outside directly into the storm. Now, your supervisor's not totally nutty. They realize that there's a tornado warning. They're just in a bad mood and they want to be testy, and they just kind of want to order you around. Well, those carts can stay out there and float, in the tornado, but you're not going to directly put yourself in harm's way just for a job. That doesn't make sense to do. And in your scenario, your supervisor is nowhere around. There's no one that you can directly turn to. See if you can come up with a solution to this dilemma, because this is a real dilemma. Someone I just talked to had this dilemma, and they handled it perfectly. Splendid way of handling it, but it may not work directly for you. So give me a scenario to fix that particular scenario, and comment in the comment section if you've been through a situation like that, or you're currently going through a situation like that. Let us know in the comment section. Share that, because a little bit of what you did might be able to help the next person, although every solution isn't the right solution for everyone in every situation. But we can sort of learn from one another. Yeah, that's something I just felt compelled to share with you guys, because I know many times I've been in situations at work where I was told to do something that made no sense whatsoever, or my supervisor just didn't like me and they just wanted to give me a hard time. And it was not just normal telling me to do this or to do that. It had a little extra spark to it. So I knew that it was something personal against me, and I knew that I could not just shoot back at my supervisor the way I really wanted to. Okay, now I also wanted to address a few things, you guys. I've gotten some questions from subscribers, and I'm going to answer them. I guess this would be the Q&A part of this video. So I have 4 questions. Number 1, how do you stay in tune with the ancestors? Meaning our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, and the grandparents before that. Well, here's my answer. Our ancestors are always with us. Our DNA is part of the DNA that they had. So we are part of them. And you have to learn to listen, sort of advising you. Now there's a lot to this, but in like a 15-minute video, I can't break it all down. But part of the ancestors is in our DNA. That's why they can trace our ethnic background, and they can trace who our relatives were years and years ago, who our 4th and 5th and 6th cousins are, because all that DNA is still with us. And to listen to it is to almost get yourself in a position of feeling them rather than to hear words, because I don't think it comes in words. At least for me, the communication with my ancestors is not necessarily through words, it's through feelings. And it takes practice to understand and separate your feelings from the ancestors' energy within you. That's the best I can describe right now. Maybe in another video, I can be a little bit more detailed about that. But the ancestors are with us. We can communicate with them in a way that we don't communicate with someone that's in front of us in the physical world. It's a different type of communication, a different type of energy. Question 2, how to become more psychic? Well, I believe, this is my way of thinking, we are all intuitive. We may not all be intuitive in the sense that we can pull information from someone with no physical stimulus or stimuli. But in general, I can't talk, in general, all of us, or most of us, majority of us, are intuitive. We just have to understand that and to follow our intuition. I'll betcha every one of you has had an experience where you have used your sort of right mind to understand a situation, to get through a situation, and to just know about a situation. Well, for me, it's a feeling. It's a slight fluttering feeling. It's not boom. It's not. Sorry about that. My battery keeps going dead. Where did I leave off? Oh, how to become more psychic. Well, to become more psychic is just to understand what your intuition is and how it gets your attention. And as I said, for me, it's a very, very light feeling. It's not overwhelming. It's very light, and I just have to go with that and trust that. But for you, it could be a tingling in your abdomen. It could be a dizzy feeling. It could be chills. It could be goosebumps. It could be, you just have to figure that out for yourself. Try to track your experiences, and that's really my best advice in this little short period of time. Number 3 is karma. What is karma to me? To me, karma is that old saying, what goes around comes around. I believe it could be good, and it could be, or it could be bad. It could be negative. If you constantly rob banks, eventually you're going to get caught. And in a way, that's what karma is. If you do selfless things and you love unconditionally, that just sort of comes back to you. And there's many other examples of karma, and different cultures have different beliefs regarding karma. But as I said in this little short video, I really can't get too deep into my view of karma, but in a short definition, what goes around comes around. And in my lifetime, I've seen that many, many times. So I would just advise to not look for it, especially if someone has done you wrong and you feel like, when are they going to get their just due? When are they going to get punished? When is it going to happen? If you start thinking like that, you can actually bring negative karma to yourself. You can certainly take away from your happiness, your internal peace. You can take away from that by wishing harm on someone else. Just live and let live. And let the powers that be, let the universe. In some cases, people believe in God. Let these forces deal with that. Just treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat people with kindness, but don't be overly goofy with the kindness, because people will take that and really throw it in your face. So you have to be balanced. You treat people well. You try to come from a point of love and a point of positivity, and I don't think you can go wrong when you do that. Okay, number 4, EVP. And I'll write that down there, I guess, what that stands for and what the definition is. EVP is when you take an electrical device. It could be a cell phone. It can be just different devices. Right now I can't think of anything other than a cell phone, but there's several devices you can use to do an EVP. That's part of what I do in investigating so-called haunted houses and haunted places. You just simply record, put your device on record, and you sit the device down, and sometimes you can ask a question and you'll get an answer. I've gotten clear, crystal clear EVPs many times. So this is very real. I wouldn't advise to delve too much into EVPs and get to questioning and believing everything. I wouldn't advise to do that. And the reason is you don't know exactly who those voices are or if they're telling you the truth. You really don't know. And there's a lot. I could do an entire video series on EVPs. And I can definitely vouch that they are real. Like I said, I've heard them many times. I'm sure you guys, a lot of you guys are familiar with EVPs and how they work. It's interesting. As I mentioned, I've definitely dabbled in obtaining EVPs and trying to figure out if a person's house was so-called haunted. And I say so-called haunted because who knows what it is. But it's a device that I personally can vouch it works. So really, that's it. I think I've taken up a lot of your time in this video. I wanted to give you a rundown of the rules for this free 20-minute psychic reading contest. First, you need to, I'd like it if you would follow me on Instagram. I'm Tomorrow Again on Instagram. Tomorrow Again 1111 on Instagram. And I appreciate if you would like my last post. You don't have to like all of them unless you actually like them. That would be nice. But at least like my last post. And do all of this before May 5th. And I need you to, under the post, my last post, just comment reading. Don't send me any messages on Instagram, anything in particular. Just go to Instagram, follow me, Tomorrow Again 1111 if you want to. But you do have to like my latest post and comment under that post reading. Then go to misspsychicdetective@gmail.com. Send me an email with your telephone number. I don't need to hear a backstory or anything like that, because, not to make a mockery of it, I'm just saying I can pick up your vibrations. I promise I can pick it up. I can feel it. And I felt pretty much everyone that has emailed me. I feel you, I promise. But I can only give 2 people a free reading. But there'll be another round of contests. There'll be several more rounds coming up. I enjoy doing this. It's just sometimes I just don't have the time to do it. It's not that I don't want to. I just don't have the time. So if you do all these things by May 5th, on May 7th at between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'm going to call you. I'm going to call 2 people and give you a reading. And that's it. I hope this video reaches you guys in the best of health, in the best